Wheel comes charging up on the outside as they arrive at the final 16th. She takes command, and Wonder Wheel and Tyler Gaffleone gets his first Breeders' Cup win. Marley's Freedom on the far outside. Late speed by Shamrock Rose, who's closing with a rush between horses. Shalom to catch. Shamrock Rose is closing in. Marley's Freedom, Anonymity toe. Here's the wire. Very close. I believe Shamrock Rose got there on the wire. In a photo with Shalom, Anonymity, and Marley's Freedom in the filly and mare sprint. Carrar, World Approval has the lead as they come down to the wire, and he's pulling away late, and World Approval does it in the Breeders' Cup Mile. World Approval won it by a length and a half. A blanket photo behind him in a final time of 1 minute 34.55 seconds. And Classic Empire, 2 lengths in front of Not This Time. Practical Joke is third, 16th to go. Classic Empire, here comes Not This Time. The two of them will decide the juvenile. Here's the wire. Classic Empire holds on. He's a champion 2-year-old. Not This Time was second best, then Practical Joke, and looking at Lee in a final time of 1 minute 42.60 seconds. They have Catch It, Lips to Catch. Laurent Giroux and Catch It, Lips in front, close to home. And then it's Sapphire Kitten. Alice Springs on the inside. Late move, Neveralia. Catch Lips has done it. And then it was Alice Springs, Neveralia, and Sapphire Kitten in a final. The leader as they race into the final furlong of the mile. Grand Arch is starting to put it up in two. And on the outside is Mishawish. Make Believe weaving through traffic, but look at Tepin. Oh, she was huge today. Mondelez runs on late for second, but Tepin and Julia LaPeroux have dominated the Breeders' Cup Mile over Mondelez. Grand Arch was third. Mishawish finished fourth.
Well, that was a little montage for you, highlighting some of the Breeders' Cup achievements of my very special guest, dual Hall of Famer, Mark Casse. Hey, Mark.
That was fun to watch.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was really cool to go back and watch some of those races, especially Tepin. I know the show's about 2-year-olds, but just what a mare.
She was amazing. The places and the things she did were just amazing.
I know. The trips these horses can take us on, even when we're not on their backs, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, before we get to what's been going on, you had quite the weekend. That would be a big understatement. Can you tell some of our viewers, who may be new to racing, just how deep this passion goes for you? Because one of my favorite videos of you, and I've told you this before, is when you were a little boy on the farm, starting your own broodmare band.
Yeah, I've been, a lot of people say I was foaled, not born. So
Right.
it's something that I've done my entire life. When everybody was reading cartoons, I was reading the racing form. So I've been reading the racing form since I was a little boy. It's interesting. Just recently, our youngest son, Colby, who's now 21, he played baseball and a lot of things and wasn't that involved in horse racing. You did see him when Tepin won. You saw my wife Tina hugging. He's a lot bigger now. He's 6'2", 21 years old. But
Wow.
he ran his first horse the other day and it won at Saratoga as a groom.
That's awesome.
And he said, "This could be addictive." And I said, "Oh yeah." Similar, Norman, the same thing happened with Norman.
Yeah.
Norman did a lot of things early on, and he didn't really get into horse racing until in his 20s.
I know. It's just a total family affair, isn't it? Because not only is he involved in racing as a trainer, he's married to Gabby. Gabby's involved, of course, on the media side of it. It's just a lot of fun, huh?
Some days.
Well, I got to share a little comment. By the way, everybody, this is live. So if you have a question, comment for Mark, by all means, go ahead, pop those up. Katie's saying, Mark, Got Stormy was great. So was War of Will.
I agree.
I
Both of
agree
them
as well.
were, War of Will, of course, gave us our first classic winner.
I know.
And then Got Stormy, twice winner of the 4-Star Dave against Colts. I believe she still holds the track record. I'm not sure, but Got Stormy, Get Stormy's been very good to me. He's got Get Smoking as well. So
Yes.
we've had a lot of luck. We've had a lot of luck with the Stormies.
Well, that's for sure. And War Will, you're now training some of his progeny too. So
I
that's
am.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
I actually
it's fun. You're not seeing. You're going to see the better of them a little later on in the fall. Um, it's interesting.
well,
Um, they don't have the gait speed of some of the other horses, and so it puts them behind the 8 ball a little bit early on in their races. But as we stretch out, that will change. The opposite of that is Complexity, who is
yeah.
doing so well, and like I have Mensa, he's like a quarter horse out of the gate, and that puts him in a good position, and I think that's probably why you're seeing so many of them win early.
Well, it's interesting that you should bring up Menza. He was part of this big weekend that included Get Smokin' winning the United Nations. It's hard for me to not say the grade 1 United Nations. Still in my mind, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think I won it. It was a grade 1. I think World Approval won it.
Yes.
It was a
Yes.
grade 1, I believe.
And I mean, so that was just one part of the weekend. You also won the plate trial with my boy Prince. You had an exacta in the Victoria Stakes with Menza being at the top of that ticket. And then, of course, another exacta in the Trillium Stakes. It was just, I mean,
We had a
one
funny
after another.
I don't know if you saw, so we had a 2-year-old race down at Gulfstream, and we had a first time starter win called Como.
Yes, and
And
you got
yeah,
disqualified.
yeah,
But then
and I knew at the 8th pole I was with John Green watching the race, and I started yelling for Aristotle because I had a pretty good idea that Como was coming down, so we needed Aristotle to be second, and luckily he was. So we ended up winning the race via DQ. Our one horse got disqualified, and our other horse won.
has it ever happened to you before?
I don't think so. I can tell you what I've had happen to me. I finished first and third, and had my winner disqualified, and that's not fun.
No, it's not. But at least in this case, you're just flip-flopping the positions.
Well, he
Um,
got moved back, way back, but
oh,
that's
he
okay.
did. Oh,
Yeah,
well, then that's not.
he was a bad boy.
Uh-oh. Well, Troy has a comment. Mark, who was the horse that you think brought you to that next level as a trainer?
Well, it depends on what is my next level. You know, I Tepin definitely got us lot of recognition. Um, I never realized how hard it is as a trainer to get into the Hall of Fame, and I think there's only been 2 of us in the last 10 years or something, myself and Todd. So I think what took me over the top and got me into the Hall of Fame was probably War of Will and Sir Winston winning the Preakness and the Belmont, in the same year. So without a doubt, the biggest victory ever would be Tepin at Royal Ascot. It's just so difficult to do,
Yeah.
and for her to do it, and did it on soft ground, which wasn't really her preferred surface. But what an amazing horse!
That's one of my favorite memories is being on the backside of Saratoga and hanging out with Norm, who at that time was your assistant trainer, and he let myself and my husband Matt meet Tepin, and she was just a cool customer.
Tepin loves, all the attention. Love
Oh yeah,
peppermints, and yeah,
sweet
she loved
potatoes
it.
too, right? Did she like sweet
I
potatoes?
think, yeah, sweet potatoes. You're correct. Sweet potatoes.
And she's a broodmare overseas for Coolmore, right? Or
Yes, yeah, she
yeah,
had a winner recently. I think was it by Galileo? I'm not
I
sure.
think so. I think
I
you're
had her
right.
first fold. Unfortunately, she had some issues. It was by Curlin. They bought Tepin. Coolmore bought Tepin in fold to Curlin,
Oh, that's
and then
right.
I got the first fold for them. But unfortunately, she had some issues. Never got close to running.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear that she's got a winner out there in the books. We have a lot to talk about here in terms of some of the 2-year-olds coming up. I have the replay of Menza winning the Victoria Stakes here, and again, actually, you have the exacta here. Let me go ahead and pull this up. I'm going to present the screen, and I'm just going to. There we go, Menza. And we'll go ahead and play it. Let's see here. And this was a horse who
On their way. Empower came out strongly in the center. Going up was your Valentina. No clear leader. Mensa's come sailing through on the inside to go to the front.
racing, correct?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part.
Oh, I was just saying, this horse was originally owned by the Greens, correct, DJ Stable?
Right. Yes. We bought him as a yearling, I think in Ocala for like 135,000. He kind of showed he was something special right from the beginning. We ran him at Gulfstream, and he won very impressively. And if you know John loves this digital sales.
Yes.
And so he said, well, why don't we do this? And we put him in the digital sale. And I'd already had a relationship with John Stewart. He had bought Pounce off of us.
Yes, he was a winner this weekend.
And 12 days later, she won the grade 3 for him. So he called me about this horse, and I told him, I said, I think this is a pretty nice horse. The problem was he broke his maiden, went to Churchill, and ran, I want to say a little over 2 weeks later. He also broke, and him and Wesley Ward's horse went head and head for like 3/8 of a mile. And they went, I figured it out, I believe they went 21-4.
Yep, I have it right here.
21-4, and we were 3 or 4 wide. I figure we ran the first quarter in somewhere like 21-2, which is unheard of. Now, you will see quarters at Churchill in 21-4 or so, but that's going 3/4 of a mile. A lot of people don't realize the reason you see the fast quarters at Churchill, the first opening quarter, been this way for since I've been there 45 years. The gate sits on the opposite side of the track, so they have to run across the turn, and then they hit the pole. So they're at full flight. They have a run up of 75 yards.
It makes so much sense.
This is different because this was, was it 5/8 or 5.5?
It was at 5 furlongs.
5 furlongs. So that quarter, I would say to you, Ren, there probably isn't 5 horses in North America, 2-year-olds, that could run the first quarter in 21-2, no matter what, from a dead stop. So I think that cooked him. And so I said to John, John Stewart, I said, I've got a plan for this horse. Just don't get too discouraged. My plan isn't, my hope is to get him to the summer stakes, the grade 1 win, and you're in. This race the other day was just a start. We're going to come back in the soaring free, going 6.5 on the turf. I don't see any reason he won't like the turf. You see, I can tell you, I talked to Patrick Husbands the previous day about him, and he said, oh, they're not going to beat him.
I love it.
Yeah, he loves that horse. And Patrick's ridden a few good ones for me over the past
just a few
25 years.
Just a few. I've met Patrick Husbands once before, and the thing that I was struck by immediately was just the confidence.
He does. He has. He's amazing. He doesn't panic.
No.
We won a race on Sunday for Live Oak, and he called me the night before. And if you talk to Patrick, he's not the easiest to understand. Many people, he's got a very strong Bayesian accent. He said, "Ticker Ticker is going to win." He said, "You watch." And I said, "Who?" He said, "Ticker Ticker." And I said, "You mean ticker tape?" And he goes, "Yeah, ticker." And he rode her, and she won easy with a lot of confidence.
Yeah, she did. And, just the fact that you've got all these horses in all these different divisions. You just mentioned pointing Menza toward the summer stakes. Philly, you may be pointing toward the Natoma is Bullet. And Bullet, she really caught people's attention. I have the replay right here when she won on debut the Royal Palm Juvenile Fillies. And she did after not breaking well. So for a 2-year-old to recover as she did and win like she did, there was a lot of expectation that we might see her then take that ticket, because there's that partnership between First Racing and Royal Ascot, to go over there. But the decision was made to keep her here in North America.
Correct. Yep.
And let me see.
You going to show that?
Yes, I am. I just want to make sure I've got the right one. And yes, here we go. And she just back here with the 5-horse, everybody.
Yeah, I was saying some bad words at that point in time, because we were expecting big things out of her. And when she broke that slow, I was pretty disappointed. Maybe said a bad word or two.
I don't think anybody would blame you for that. Were you expecting her to break on top?
Yeah, she had broke really well. So I was expecting her to break well.
And so the fact
right now, I'm like, we have no chance.
Oh, and she
No
just,
chance.
if everybody's
And I was
watching
like, here, I'm like, whoa, here she comes. Not only is she broke slow, now she's went very wide. Right?
Yes.
And
Still not in the picture, or just her head. Here she comes.
yeah. I can tell you that, through the year, we may win 200 races in a year. I would say of those 200, maybe 3 or 4 have me with my mouth wide open, like, whoa.
Yeah.
That was a whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, how hard was it to make the decision not to go to Royal Ascot? I mean, they take care of a lot of the costs, but at the same time, you're still shipping your horse over.
Yeah, it's very costly. It's very costly. Whoops. That's my 2 furry friends. So it's very costly, and it kind of takes you out of. We'll stop here in a minute, I hope.
It's okay.
It's costly, and you go over, a lot of things can go wrong. Now, she would be a horse that could go over there and take it and be just fine. But we just thought, we want to try to win the Grade 1 Natoma winning you're in, and John and I talked about it, and we thought it was best not to go.
Well, you kept her home, and then you gave her a little time off. She comes back on July 13th in the My Dear Stakes. And by the margin of this win, I think it's clear that she was ready to roll and is a horse to be very excited about. Let's go ahead, share the screen. And here she is in the Deer Stakes.
Again, Patrick and I discussed the race, and he goes, "Oh, they're not going to beat her." So, he was really confident in her as well.
And this time, a good break, and
yeah.
And you had to be happy to see that she's got the mind to just settle.
Yeah, that's her and Patrick. Patrick has the settling mind, and that's the way he rides.
She runs like a pro,
which is nice because there's when you have to be on the lead or you need the lead, there's always somebody out there that's gonna try to ruin your game plan. And when you have a horse that you can get to relax and then come running, that's what made Tepin so great. Tepin could do whatever you wanted her to do. She could be on the lead or come from out of it, and that's important. She switches leads here, and he asked her to pick it up a little bit, and she responds.
Oh, she's just a beautiful horse too, on top of it, with a tremendous
it's
pedigree.
Probably a better, I think, she handles the Tepita fine, but I think she's probably a better turf horse.
Well, that's very exciting. And for those out there who are petty geeks like I am, she has the Breeders' Cup Ped Cred. This daughter of Warfront. She is from the family of Flanders, who is her third dam. And Flanders, of course, was champion 2-year-old filly, won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. The second dam, Surfside. So she was champion 2-year-old filly.
It's
it's
a great
beautiful.
pedigree. It's a great pedigree, and just excited to have her.
Yeah. Well, let's see who else we've got here in the barn to be excited about. As far as the 2-year-olds go, you had another exacta with in a maiden special weight, and this was with. Let me pull up my notes here. This was. I don't know if I'm going to say this horse's name correctly, so I apologize already. Bientôt and Will Rain.
Well, you're not the only one that can't pronounce her name. I have a tough time with it as well.
Okay. I'm going to butcher this.
It's
French, right?
And I have no idea what it means. That was Carol Farmer names all the farmer horses. Tracy's wife, and she comes up with great names. I have no idea what that means. I just know that I sent her. She's always kind of showed me she was a little something special.
Oh,
and
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, she ran just okay first time out, which many of my young horses do. I don't put a whole lot of emphasis on winning first time. And then, now you're looking at her second start. But
the other one was a first time starter and ran really well. And that one's a daughter of War of Will.
Yeah, it's interesting. The War of Wills, as I said to you, don't have gate speed like some horses. And you'll see she'll break okay, but she won't keep up early, Will Rain. And then see how she kind of falls back. She can't keep up. And then she runs very green. I think, Flavian was really high on her. She ran well.
Yeah, she sidles right up against her stablemate, who is the 2 horse.
Yeah, she's got 2 horses beat right now, and the other filly's just right ahead of her.
Does anybody out there who's watching know what a bientôt means? Is it bien obviously is good. Is it something like something good? If you know, hit it up in the comments. But yeah, right now we're going to see them come off the turn. Will Rain is making up ground here on the far outside, and now they're going to come up right up alongside of each other. And like you said,
Will Rain kind of ducks in. He keeps trying to straighten her out, and both of them ran really well, and they both got a good number. Came back. This Will Rain jumps to her left lead, and but both of them ran well. I was proud of both.
Yeah, it's nice to get an exacta, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was as far as the buyer figure goes for Bientôt 75, and I mean, Will Rain, for that to be her very first start ever, she got a 73. I thought that wasn't, one of those ones where you can be encouraged about what she may do going forward, for sure.
I agree. I think they're both stake caliber horses. So, I don't even want to say her name because I butcher it, but she's going, she's going in the. She's going to go in the, I believe it's the Bolton Landing.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, she'll go there, which is 5.5 on the turf at Saratoga. Will Rain, we'll see. We'll see where she goes yet next.
Do you think she could go stakes as a maiden?
Maybe. She may end up, Gary would like to send her to the Catch a Glimpse, which then means she will be running against Bullet.
Right. How do you keep them separate? How do you do your best to keep them separated?
I don't, I tell everybody what's going on and let them decide. Tina, my wife, says it best. We supply the beacons. It's their plane to fly. So, I told Gary, he said, I want to go to the Catch a Glimpse, which, Catch a Glimpse was Gary and I's first Breeders' Cup winner.
Yes.
And I said, okay, that's fine. We can do that. Just no bullets going there. And what was, he was one, when Bullet won, he was one of the first ones to send me a text. That's a monster. So
Oh,
I said, Gary, we're going to be going against the monster.
oh boy.
So, so that's the way I do it. If we have a lot of good horses.
Yes, you do.
I looked up a record the other day, and I was actually quite surprised. I think we've had 120 winners, and 33 of them have been stakes winners.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's been a good year, and so they're going to run against each other. We have a lot of good horses, and they run against each other. What I'm
How
really, really proud of, Ren, is all these horses, for the most part, spend the winter in Florida at our training center, and we get everybody ready. Um, Interesting enough, if you look at our record over the last few years, July and August are good months for us, because that's when we're getting everybody cranked up and the big races are starting to go. And so I'm a chess player as well, and so I play a lot of chess with the horses.
I love it. But I obviously, when you've got your own training facility there in Ocala, I've not yet been. I've not
How
yet
can
been.
you not? You have to
I
come.
know. I have to. Next time I come down to do the live show at Tampa, I'm gonna have to head over back into Ocala and check it out. But it's great because the fact that you did grow up in this industry. I mean, you've seen it all. You've done every facet of it, and it just is so. So much of an education through just your own development that you know how to look at these horses in every single way you could possibly need to in your profession. And that's obviously a huge component to the success
It's
of
one of
that.
the favorite things for me to do, is to buy horses.
Yeah.
I think I've bought, well, I bought a Arlington Million winner for 2,500. I bought probably 10 millionaires for less than $50,000 just this year. I'm quite proud. So I always buy a few for my wife. We buy a
I
few,
love Tina.
and we don't spend a lot of money. I bought Pounce. The way I bought Pounce was I was at the sale and I bid 22,000 on her. I like looking at Lucky. There are studs that I think are undervalued,
Appreciated. Yeah.
appreciated. He is one, and so I bid 22 on her. Len Hancock came to me afterwards. We bought the filly back, and I said, "Well, what'd you want for?" And she said 30, and I said, "Nah, that's more than I want to spend." So she said, "I said I'll give you 10 for half in training bills." And so we did that, and of course, she broke her maiden first time out,
Yep.
I think in a $90,000 race. And then a couple races go, she wins the allowance race. And I said, I'm putting her in the digital sale. And John Stewart bought her for 370,000.
Yes.
That was a big home run. But the biggest home run we had that year was Tina has a friend that we've known for 15 years or so, and she wanted to buy a horse. So I said, okay. And she had like 3,000 to spend. So we bought a colt the second to last day of Keeneland, September, by Cairo Prince. I bought him for 25,000. We were supposed to run him, but he was trained so good. I said, I'm going to put him in the sale. And he brought 450,000.
Oh,
And that's Unmatched Wisdom. The horse of
wow.
Chad's. That's now 3 for 3. So
Wow.
there's two horses, Pounce and Unmatched Wisdom, that I bought, I think back-to-back days, like the
Golly.
third last day of Keeneland and the second last day of Keeneland, something like that. So you'll see me. A lot of people will say, "What are you still doing here?" And I tell Tina, there's gold in those hills, and she's a big part of it over the years. She
Yeah.
goes. Tina knows what a good horse looks like too, and she goes out, gets them ready, we look at them together, and I've said it many, many times. I'm fortunate to be in 2 Hall of Fames. If it wasn't for her, I'd be in 0 Hall of Fames.
Oh, oh my gosh. That's just a huge compliment
No,
to
and I mean it with every ounce of my being. She, we're best friends. We do everything together, and yeah, it's good.
I love that. I love seeing you two together. Last time I saw you guys, it was at Derby.
Yeah,
She's incredible.
she is.
And as it's talking about bargains, I get kind of hung up on Will Rain a little bit because I don't know if I've ever blathered on to you about this, but I certainly have to John and some other people. But my favorite female family in the stud book is Family 1X of La Troyenne. And Will Rain is from that family. You got her for $85,000, which blows my mind. So, and not only that, but it's interesting because her mom, Green Destiny, not only is she from Family 1X, but she's by Super Saver, who's Family 1X himself. So
Right.
I just love the dynamic of that. And like I said, you got her for 85,000 and she gets beat just a half length while being green on debut in a maiden special weight race at Saratoga.
That's what I enjoy, you know. If you said to me, what is it that you enjoy most? It would be recruiting, going and buying the young horses. It's interesting. When I first started training for Mr. Oxley, I said to him, I want to buy this horse. So I bought the horse, and he was by Sky Mesa. And I said, Mr. Oxley, we got him. He said, how much was he? I said, 25,000. He said, I've never bought a horse for 25,000. And his name was Dynamic Sky. I think he may have won the Tampa Bay Derby, but he made over $1 million, won the Red Smith. The same, maybe a little bit at the same time, I bought a filly called Dixie Strike for 47,000 by Dixie Union, and she made over $1 million.
Gosh.
My biggest miss was Heart to Heart. I looked
No.
at Heart to Heart probably 20 times. He was at the sale in Canada, and I decided that he was too small, and I didn't buy him.
Good things come in small packages, right?
Well, it's funny. We're okay. What you pronounce her name? Aber what?
Aviantot.
Yeah, she's very small. I said to the valet, I was saddling, and I said, when I can see over her, see you, that means they're not very big. I said, but remember, if size meant anything, a rabbit couldn't outrun a cow. And
That's true.
the little rabbit outran everybody.
I love that. Well, I brought this up before. Northern Dancer was like 15-3 hands. He won the Kentucky Derby. He won the Preakness. I mean,
Who was in Florida was one of the greatest of all, was Valid Appeal. Valid Appeal, he was 50 years of greatness, and not only as a sire, but a broodmare sire. I would tell Mr. Mangarian, good thing I wasn't around when you decided to retire him, because I would have never let you breed to him. He was like 15 and a half, club foot back in his knee. Wow. And he ended up being, so yeah, you can't always go by size.
No.
That's for sure.
Goldakova, Mighty Mouse. I mean, there are a number of smaller horses who were just incredible talents. And, I do feel, I mean, you've been in this for, since childhood, going to the sales and breeding horses. I feel like only in the past, 10 years or so, people are now, it wasn't just a big horse that people are looking for. It's like they're looking for almost, I mean, not Zenyatta size, but really big. And I don't know when that kind of shifted to looking for just these really, 16 and a half, like 16 used to be good. Like that's a big horse, but
yeah, I think there's a big mistake made there. One, for me, I try to buy athletes. I don't care whether they're big, tall, small, long. I just athletes. Mm-hmm. I also believe there's some people out there that will tell you, oh, I don't even have to look at the pedigree. I just look at the individual, and I think that's a bunch of malarkey. Because, what I do, I can tell you what I do. Every time chance I get to look at a good horse, I go look, whether it's, in all the stake races, because I want to see what the good ones by sires look like.
Yeah.
And they're all, different. We've had tremendous luck. When I say we, well, me and DJ. The reason I liked Wonder Wheel so well was she reminded me of another filly I called was Make Mischief, who made 700,000 or
Ah.
800,000. I've had great luck with some of the taller, leaner
Yeah, she's a big
into,
mare, but
into
Wonder Wheel.
Mischiefs versus, a lot of them are a little smaller and compact. I haven't had as much luck with them. So you go back to what you're lucky with. Um, I'm a big pedigree guy. I am big. I like those mares that produce winners. I like the mares that produce horses that continue to run. Anymore. It doesn't matter how talented they are. If you can't get them to races or they last 1 or 2 starts, then
Right.
it's not good. So a lot of what I do is what I was taught by my father, 40 some years ago or 50 years ago. And
Mhm.
it works for me.
Well, obviously, and some of the trends we're seeing lately, curling over anything AP Indy, for example, in breeding theory. Same thing, Nyquist over anything AP Indy. There seems to be, some sort of spark there. With freshman sires, you mentioned complexity. Vacoma is just knocking out of the park. I know you have a Vacoma entered this
Yeah,
weekend,
yeah.
Vixen.
Yeah, she's all right. Now I think we've got her in on the grass, and it's simply more just I figure why not? I would imagine she would grass. We do have a very big meet coming up for a lot of money
Yeah.
in September at Kentucky Downs. So
Yes.
that's always in the back of my mind, trying to win as many of those big races as we can.
I've been asked to ask you about a horse named Dream On. This is a colt by Not This Time out of Mama Kimbo by Discreet Cat, won at Ellis Park on the 14th.
Yeah, he's an impressive individual. I like him. He's one of I consider the A team. Was a little disappointed in his first start, but again, I probably my assistant Alan Hardy.
Alan's great, by the way.
Yeah,
Yes.
Alan. He said he's not ready to run, and I said, mm, "You might be right, but we're going to give him a start." I love giving horses starts. I just think it's a big
Education.
deal. Yeah, and so he didn't run that great. And afterwards, I said, "Okay, you were right. Probably wasn't ready to run." But we came back. We ran him on the grass. He moved great over it. Right now, I think the plan for him is he is going to go to Woodbine and he's going to try Menza.
Oh my. All
This is
right.
Yeah. So there's a lot of movement going on. For me, I'm kind of like air traffic control. I said I have about 6 condition books on my laptop. Anybody that knows me, they'll hardly ever see me without my laptop, and I'm always looking and trying to figure out where we're going. And you saw a lot of that on Saturday and
Yes.
all the different places. I think Friday, Saturday, and Sunday we won 13 races.
Ah, isn't that that's just incredible? And one of the performances that was besides the plate trial, of course, because and I have the replay for that, even though this is a show about 2-year-olds, just because I thought my boy Prince put in such a gallant performance, considering the break was so bad. See, I expected him to go out there, get the lead, and be done with it. I was gonna try. I'm sorry, Mark. I was gonna try to beat him because 1-5, I can't take 1-5.
That's fine. You can try to beat him.
But
Everybody, you know what? Everybody likes to tries to beat the
can't.
champ. I was more impressed with his win the other day than any of his other races. I've
I'll
seen
pop it up while
You
you're
and I
talking.
have both seen many a good horse have a bad start and not recover and run good.
Correct.
He not only did he break bad, then he was very wide in the first turn. And you got to remember, he's making his first start. He did run around 2 turns in the Breeders' Cup, but really his first start around 2 turns on Tepita. So he had a lot of things going against him.
Just right there. And when you watch the head on of it,
I said some more bad words.
yeah, the head on is so much worse, you guys. If you can go ahead and find that replay, watch the head on. Like it's just he really.
And now here, look where he's at.
I know he's wide, and I'm thinking I had gone with that horse, the 6 horse, Friendly Ghost, who was making a 3rd start and trying
Yeah,
2 turns for the first time.
I tried to buy Friendly Ghost.
Did you?
Yeah, he's owned by a dear friend of mine, Sue Leslie.
Okay.
We actually helped her buy him as a yearling. We looked at buying him after his first start, and he had a few little issues. We kind of made some suggestions, and so I was watching Friendly Ghost as well.
Yeah, I mean, I liked how he had closed over a slow pace in that debut run. I mean, he didn't win,
He
but then he
runs a
won
very
second
good
out.
race here,
Yeah, he
for only
does.
his 3rd start.
Yeah, because Piper's Factors, who is outside, has a lot of experience. But I
Mhm.
mean, it's clear, it's absolutely clear when you watch this race play out that had my boy Prince not had the start that he had, he would have won by open like
Yeah.
daylight.
And
It would have been
again, still, here he's still 3 or 4 wide.
yeah.
So he went wide in the first turn after giving everybody a head start. Now he's wide again. You know, I
So
thought
what
it was
did
I thought it was a great effort. Right here, I'm not sure that he's
oh,
going
he
to get
changed
it
the lead.
done.
Changes leads and then kicks on. What did happen in the gate exactly? Was he just not
I don't
ready?
know.
Did he
He's an extremely smart horse.
And
I'm
now
not
how do we go forward into just keeping him happy up until Queen's Plate or King's
do,
Plate now, excuse
yeah,
me.
he'll do very little. I think we're gonna, we have the first 3 choices in
Yeah.
the King's Plate. We've got my boy Prince. We have a horse called Essex Serpent who
Who
won
won the
the
Marine?
Marine.
Yes.
And then we have a horse called Midnight Mascot, who was 3rd in the Marine. All 3 of them are going to run. We just secured Kimura's going to come back from California to ride Midnight Mascot in the Queen's Plate for us.
Wow.
Savachi will ride, obviously, my boy Prince. And I took Sahid off early on and put Patrick on Essex Serpent a couple races ago because I kind of felt like I could see what was coming, and
Oh.
I knew, if everything went well, Sahid would be right, and that's why I took him off and put Patrick on a couple races ago.
How hard is it to pair a horse before they even start? Like, let's say it's one of those situations where you have a couple of young horses that are all going to be debuting in the same race. Selecting which jock's going to go on to which horse. Is it a matter of sometimes they've been working them in the morning for you too, or is there just other factors that go into it? You feel like the personality might match
Oh
better
no,
with
there's definitely some personalities. But most of those guys, they do come out and work them for us. But there are personalities. There's personalities involved when I decide what assistant I'm going to send a horse to.
Oh,
I feel like, we're very fortunate. We have a team. I have I want to say 10 people that have been with me over 30 years.
wow.
Mitch Downs, who runs our Florida operations, been with me 42 years.
Wow. I mean,
David Adams, the guy that runs things for me at Woodbine, has been with me 30 years.
I love that. They say, there's that old saying about a business that maintains the same staff. There's just something really good about the model of it. So it just works. And I also wonder, this might sound like a stupid question, so forgive me already. But for example, with Abiantot and Will Rain being at the same track together, are they workmates? Do you feel like the horses recognize their workmates if they're paired together enough?
I don't think so. But I do believe that it's extremely important to have mates, especially early on. We do a lot. If you one of these days you're going to come visit us,
Yes.
you'll see us scout 4 or 5 together, the young horses, and kind of change positions. And so I think that's important. I don't know that they recognize each other. to be honest. But
Well, sometimes people have talked about her dynamics in racing. I think there might actually be a book on it. I'm not sure. But do you think that's anything that comes into play with just horses and sort of recognizing alpha, beta? Or do you think the adrenaline's just pumping so much when they're running?
Yeah, it's some have it, some don't. Some do have, the will to win. I do believe in confidence.
Yeah.
I don't like. I like horses to learn to go by horses. I tell all my riders, whether it's Irad Ortiz, Jose Ortiz, Patrick Husbands, they all know. I say the same thing with all my first time starters. I'd rather be a closing fourth than a dying third. I want my horses to run by horses and learn to run by horses.
Oh, that's certainly interesting. Is this a philosophy you feel like it is just kind of your own? I mean, because
I don't know. I've never had anybody tell me that, so it's just kind of, my idea. This goes back probably 20 years ago, 25 years ago. Will Ferris sent me a filly by AP&D. He'd paid $1.5 million for, and she had never beat a horse.
Oh.
And so he sent her to me, and he goes, "Do you think you can get her to win?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "But I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. First thing we're going to do is we're going to let her drop back to last. And if she passes 2 horses down the lane, we're going to figure that as an accomplishment." And the first time we ran her, she trailed and ran by 3 or 4 horses. So he goes, I said, "Okay, lesson 1 has been learned." I said, "We're going to run her back. We're going to do the same thing." And that time she finished second.
Wow.
Her third start, she came back and won. And at that point, I said, honestly, I know she's worth a lot as a broodmare. I don't think she can win the next level. I said, she's a winner now. I said, take her home and make her a mommy. And he did. So that's a perfect example of how that worked.
And maybe it's really something that comes down to, as you've been talking about, the mentality of a horse, and you gave her some confidence.
Right.
And you worked it forward, and so you got rewarded for that. It is incredible because no horse is the same. They're all different. Here, what's your answer to this? Because I've heard it both ways. We handicappers, for example, when we're watching a race play out, a lot of times, for example, turf races, right, where you've got everybody coming late. Would you rather have your horse inside saving ground or outside with a clear shot coming around the turn?
Okay, I've lost you here. Just 1 second.
Oh, okay.
I don't know where you've went.
Am I gone? Can you hear me?
I got a call and it knocked me off. Gary called. Oh, there you are.
There I am. Hi.
Gary called me. I had to decline.
Oh no. I hope it's nothing important. No. Yeah, I was just saying.
So especially turf racing, I think you have to save all the ground you can. I think so many times what's very frustrating to me, you're asking a horse to give you everything he has and you're going 4 or 5 wide. They're trying their hardest and they're not gaining any ground because they're giving up so much ground on running farther that I think it discourages them.
That makes a lot of sense.
I would rather stay in, save ground, and if it works, it works. So I do like to save ground.
Well, I have some questions for you from our audience. Mark, are you coming to Toronto August 17th? And if so, who do you have your money on?
Well, I'll answer the first question. Yes, I'll be there. That's a King's Play Day, and I don't bet on horses, so I'm not going to I'm going to be rooting for all of our horses.
All right. Oh, also Master Mark. Jay-Z the horse has more questions for you. When is the best time to buy a horse for a $30K investment?
Okay, 1 second here.
Oh, I'm gone again.
No. Just give me 1 sec.
You got it.
So that's a good question. Let's see here. Just give me 1 second, or this
No
is
worries.
going to keep coming back. Where's the best place to invest 30,000? If you're wanting a quick return, obviously, is probably the best thing to do would be to claim a horse. If you wanted your best shot of getting a good horse, I would take 15,000, invest it in a yearling, and take the other 15,000 and use that to get that yearling, ready to run.
Yeah, it's incredible how many times that we've seen horses, and you've already outlined some where you found modest price horses who went on to do big things. And also there are a lot of good partnerships these days where you can buy a leg.
Yeah, that's what I would do. A lot of my friends have we just Serbini. We bought Serbini with some
second.
friends.
Was she second or
Yeah,
in
she
the
she broke
Schuylerville?
we bought her for 40,000, I believe, in April at the OBS sale. My wife is involved with 3 friends. Everybody put up 10,000 each, bought her for 40. She won her first start and got, I believe, 50 for winning. And she was then second in the Schuylerville. So
Yeah, only beaten 2 3/4 lengths.
Yeah. And then, that horse was a little more expensive. We bought a horse called Sing Sing, I believe, for 90 with partners again. And he broke his maiden at Ellis, and he'll be running in probably the stake at Kentucky Downs. So,
I actually have his replay Sing Sing.
Yeah.
I do. I come prepared. This is tis the law. Tis the law.
Tis the law.
Let's see here.
There's a horse. He's not real big, but he's, you're seeing him here. He's put away the favorite. The horse came and ran with him. He put him away and keeps running. And he's a nice horse. Sing Sing.
He's a pretty horse too. I'm a sucker for a Blaze. I am. War of Will is one of those horses, right?
Oh yeah.
What did you make of the Schuylerville? It was such a crazy. That's the only reason I didn't have the replay up, because I know Shabrini did run second in there, and it's a big 2-year-old filly race. But the beginning was so marred, and then
everything was. They were loose. They were doing everything. I don't know. Those races are tough to really understand. They always are. You get a bunch of young fillies that have broke their maiden everywhere, and most of them went to the lead and never saw another horse. And once all hell breaks loose, because there's only so many that can make the lead. Serbini actually, she was probably 15-20 lengths out of it and then rallied. I'm excited to get her on the grass a little later on and run farther, but I don't know what you make of it. I just know that we have graded stakes. We're graded stakes placed at Saratoga, so that's a good thing.
There's another horse I wanted to talk about, and I actually have the replay. This is not a winning replay, but I just thought the performance was good enough that this is a horse to keep your eye on for the future. This is another one by War of Will, and it's Garden of War. And he has not run since his 3rd place finish, in which he was beaten just a length and a half in the Royal Palm Juvenile, and that was won by Gabaldon. And then Gabaldon went on to run second in the Windsor Castle at Royal Ascot. So let me pull this up here, and I'm gonna share the screen, and here it is, the Royal Palm Juvenile, and he's on the far outside, and it's only a 5 furlong race.
Yeah.
And
again, just doesn't have the gate speed of some of those others. He came back with just like a minor hind end injury.
Okay.
And I've just given him some time. You're going to see, especially in the fall, I have 4 or 5 really good War of Wills that have just had little minor injuries that I've given time to. Nothing of any great significance, but he runs a good race here.
I thought
probably doing something he doesn't want to do, and that's rush.
Because he
Um,
does look like he looks, am I wrong? He looks like a bigger horse to
oh,
me.
he's big, yeah, and he looks a lot like War of Will.
Yeah, he really does.
Yeah, I have high hopes for him. I have high hopes for him.
Yeah, I mean, and again, just to flatter the performance here and to get that he's getting within a length and a half, that's Gabaldon. Gabaldon went on to run second in the Windsor Castle, y'all, and it was just, I believe, Cutter Racing bought into him.
Right, they did.
And so, let me see here. Hey, Mark, given the fact that Patrick Husbands is one of your go-to stable jockeys in Canada and has been quite successful, will you ever get a chance to make, will he ever get a chance to make a name for himself with your runners at Saratoga, Keeneland, or some of the other larger meets in the U.S.?
Well, he has, he already has. He's ridden, he was second in the Breeders' Cup for me on Sealy Hill some time ago. He rode for me. He comes back. He takes the winter off. He won a few races for me at Gulfstream this spring. He rode Menza when he broke his maiden at Gulfstream. So, yeah, we do. I feel confident taking Patrick anywhere. So if the scenario presents itself, I would say that if Menza or Bullet make it all the way to the Breeders' Cup, I wouldn't be surprised if you see Mr. Patrick Husbands with them.
Okay. Well, I will
I
also
should say Sir Patrick Husbands. He is
Sir
a
Patrick.
Sir in Barbados.
I love that. I did not know that. Well, I think Jay-Z's ready to go and buy in. He says, do you have one for me? A horse. I guess you can reach out to Casse Stables. They have a website. Check that out, Jay-Z. And one other question from Jay-Z. Is Florida grass different for the horse than, say, in Canada or New York? I would say absolutely, but I will defer to the master.
Oh, yeah. Every grass is different. Every grass. Unless he's talking about what they eat. And that, of course, would be. But if you're talking about turf courses, every turf course is different. Every synthetic turf is different. Every synthetic track is different somewhat. And so are dirt tracks. Every track is a little unique.
Yeah, I would say so as well. I would also say that Tampa's turf course is very, very beautiful and lush and fair, and we love it when you bring your horses and run at Tampa.
Yeah, well, I bring I bring a lot of my good horses there. It's where I like starting them out in the spring,
including Tepin. Yeah.
Yes, she came a few times.
Yes, and we thank you for that. Tampa, small track, but great racing, and I think both our dirt course and our turf course play very fairly. Just a few more questions. We're going to let you go because I've already monopolized so much of your time. I really appreciate it. So if anybody has any last minute questions, get them in now. But I have to ask you this. You have a horse in your barn named Cheese. Why? Is this a John Green thing?
Okay, you'll have to ask John. I have no idea.
Cheese.
You'll have to ask John that one.
And what do you do? Does the horse stay named Cheese if it ages into a big time graded stakes winner? Is it
again, you have to ask John that one. I have no idea.
Maybe she gets upgraded to Brie at that point.
We were thinking about getting Crackers and then run them as an entry, but you gotta ask John that one.
I love it. And then you also have Salted.
Yeah, Salted's Salted ran a great race on Sunday, stumbled badly and rallied and ran second. I think Salted could be a future star. We'll see.
Yeah, I tap it out of Salty by
Salty is one of my favorites.
I love to hear that. Who else should we be keeping our eyes out for? I mean, you already mentioned you have a couple of War of Wills in the pipeline
right. Oh, I don't know. Now you got me. We ran Sandman and he disappointed me. I'm expecting a big effort out of him.
You think there's an excuse?
What's that?
Any excuse?
Not really. I
love that about you. You're always forthcoming. You never it's not the he's doing everything right or
no.
It's just
I don't really know why he didn't run better, but he trains a lot. He trains like a good horse. So Alan Jerkins, one thing I always remember Alan Jerkins told me, He said, "You never judge a horse until they run 5 times."
Oh,
So I don't get too excited.
okay. All right. Hey, I mean, there's a lot of different things to try. And do you believe that horses can have light bulb moments?
Oh yeah. One of my, if you go and you read my saying in the Hall of Fame is, training horses is like putting a puzzle together. You have to keep trying the pieces till you figure out what fits. So I'm always trying different pieces, and you know what? When you win, you win. When you lose, you learn. So I try to learn by my losses.
Well, you've had a lot of wins
Had a
before
lot of
I.
losses, so I've done a lot of learning.
Well, there's so much to look forward though to, and when you've been in the sport for as long as you have, I'm sure that it's really honed the 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 different methods of which you employ,
For
and
sure.
you're
Sure.
obviously better able to recognize certain things in certain horses,
Well, you
and
go back. You know what? You go back in your memory, your
mhm.
memory bank, and say, "How did I deal with this before?" And I often say, I play golf as well, and I think if you hit a ball into the woods, you can say, "Damn it, I hit the ball in the woods," or you can say, "What kind of great shot can I hit to get out of the woods?" And that's the way I look at training horses.
What a great outlook to have. So to sum up, because we've been focused mainly, this is the Future Stars forecast on the 2-year-olds. I do want to give some love to the older horses. Pounce, how did she come out of the Grade 3 Lake George win? And what can we expect from her going forward?
Yeah, she came out of it good. I think we learned some things about her. I got to talk with John Stewart, but there's a possibility she could go to the Del Mar Oaks, I think, grade
Okay.
one. She's already a multiple graded stakes winner. So I think we need to start hunting for some grade ones, black type for her, because I'm sure, John's going to want her as a broodmare later on.
Nice. Now, solo album, she put in a very nice performance, second off the layoff in the Trillium. And then Forever Dixie, her stablemate. I thought it was really, but I was doing the live
Actually,
show.
actually, solo album won, and Forever Dixie ran second.
Oh,
You,
oh, did I say it backward? I'm
yes,
sorry.
you did.
So, well, oh, I'm sorry. Soul Album 1, second off the layoff,
There
and
you go.
Forever Dixie came running second. And it's funny because it was in this like three horse. They were all coming together at the end there, but Soul Album held them off. And she's been a real nice horse for a real long time. Again, maybe that first off the layoff was just a needed race. She had gotten caught by Fashionably Fab that day. But in Forever Dixie, I remember I was on the live stream for America's Best Racing, and I was watching the horses as they were approaching the gate, and we hadn't even talked about Forever Dixie. And I stopped and I said, "She's looking really good out there, you guys. She looks very happy and relaxed right now, and she ran fantastic."
Yeah, she actually maybe had Patrick been able to sneak through, I think she probably wins. She has been an underachiever to this point. I feel like she trains like a really good horse, and so far we've seen a good horse.
Yeah.
So hopefully she'll improve.
What about 2023's Sovereign Horse of the Year, Fev Rover?
Yeah, you know what? She's 6 now, and sometimes these older horses um, take a little longer to get them back. She's not easy. She's very difficult to train.
Oh, is
Um,
she?
yeah, she's very difficult, and she's come around. Um, we feel like she's pretty well back to herself. Good shot. She's going to end up in the Beverly D and try to defend her crown.
Okay. I have to ask you also, you've trained such great horses. You're in this elite group of trainers who actually have horses who have stakes races named after them. You were talking about the Catch a Glimpse, for example. You also recently had Dancing and Dixie win the Tepin Stakes. How is she?
She's great. She's on a van right now, heading
Oh,
for Saratoga, and she's going to run in I think it's called the Saratoga Invitational Oaks or something.
yes.
Yes.
Oh,
So
that's
next week.
exciting.
Yeah.
I love that.
There's another horse that, I bought part of for my wife. I think we bought her as a 2-year-old for 35,000. Gary Barber bought us out, and he now owns her, and we're just training her. But that's another. So there's for your the friend that asked how you spend money. There, we bought Dancing Dixie for 35,000.
That's incredible. And okay, I have 2 questions from here, and then I'm going to let you go.
Okay.
Jay-Z has one more question for you. Wednesday nights at Woodbine were great with you back in the day. Do you think horses like running in the night? I always worry about them with the lights and the shadows, but
I don't think it. I can tell you who doesn't like running at night is our grooms.
right?
When it's 11 o'clock and your horse runs bad and you have to still, take care of them. But no, I like night racing. I don't know why. I don't really know why they don't have Wednesday nights anymore. We have twilight racing on Thursday, but I'm sure there's a good reason for it.
Can I tell you right now, we have over 1,000 people watching this live.
Really?
Yes, that's for horse racing media online. That's pretty big. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Why don't we tend to see more European middle distance bred horses used more in the States? They have the best quality horses in that division.
Well, I think we try. You see a lot of. I mean, you've seen that with Chad, right? He's went and bought them. They're very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Very expensive.
Have you been over to Tattersall's and
I have not,
Goff's?
but Fev Rover, she was bought in Europe and brought over.
Do you have any interest in doing that?
It costs like $1 million.
Do you have any interest in going to those sales?
Honestly, I'm so busy at that time.
Yeah.
I don't really like. I'm not. We're homebodies. I like being with the horses. I like if we have people. Lincoln Collins goes over. There's people that'll buy them. They can send them to us, but I get invited all the time. In fact, the sales companies ask me to come and comp things and bring me over, and I.
Oh, I would so go. Are you kidding? At that point, yeah.
I say thank you, but yeah.
I'll be your stand-in if you want. Here's a question about 2-year-old. I know I said 2 more, but one more popped up. Opinion on Super Zonda.
Yeah, she ran good. She's a Curlin homebred for Mrs. Weber. I think, I don't know that it'll be as a 2-year-old, but she could end up being a black type 6 type horse. She's going to get better. She's by Curlin.
Very nice. Who's the dam by? I'm just out of curiosity.
I don't remember.
It's okay. All right. So we went over a lot. And yes. I kept you over an hour. So thank you so much. Please, apologies to Tina in case I pushed dinner back.
A little bit, but you're fine.
Oh, okay. We'll get some food. And hopefully I get to say hi to you both in person. I'll be up there at Saratoga Whitney Week and for the sales because I love that sale. You see you then. Everybody.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, gosh. No, thank you. Everybody, this has been a very special edition of the Future Stars Forecast featuring dual Hall of Famer Mark Casse. I hope you enjoyed, and I will check you back here next week.
Thank you.